Hi there. Hello, good day, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. I'm in Japan, so it's nearly bedtime, but most of you are having your lunch, and some of you have only just got up. So isn't that a wonderful way to start an event? Welcome, I'm Linden Thorp. If we haven't met before, I'm delighted you're here. This is Your Body is Your Business Plan, the Masterclass. And Your Body is Your Business Plan is the name of a book I wrote last year. It's a gateway book to embodiment for business people, for business owners. And I focused on the business community because I think we're seeing so many burnouts and so on, so many leaders dropping out and so on, that really the business community needs it desperately. So I have a great mission to really help business owners counteract some of the problems they're encountering. So today our topic is ethical visibility. And just before my lovely guests get their toupees and tiaras sorted out, I'm going to just say a little bit about that. Ethical visibility is a rather new, what shall we say, theme. It's about, really being ethical when you are visible. In other words, when you're on the internet. We want to make the internet a fabulous place in the future. For example, if we have another COVID pandemic, then what did we do last time? We took refuge in the internet, and it's certainly high on my list to make the internet the best place to be. Things are really settling down in terms of, hacking and so on. And we've got lots of governance rules in place now. So yes, I'm very concerned about ethical visibility. If you're going to be visible, like I am now, then you have to be authentic. And every time I am visible, and I run a lot of live sessions on LinkedIn and YouTube, as we are streaming tonight to LinkedIn and YouTube, I am me. I am authentic. And, I'm not looking to be perfect. I'm not looking to be praised. I'm just looking to communicate. And that's really what ethical visibility is in a nutshell. It's you behave when you're visible in the way you always behave. Now, that's really difficult for a lot of people because we've learned to put masks on, to behave in certain ways with certain people in certain situations. And that's part of our social conditioning, especially in developed nations. But now it's really beholden to each individual who is becoming visual to make sure they are present and are authentic. I feel very strongly about this, and I hope my guests do so too. Let me first of all show you a few slides. We're just, Ebby Sheila is here, but she's just adjusting things. She'll be here in a moment. And Margaret's here. We're waiting for Steve. Here she is. Okay. So why don't I bring you on? Here's Margaret, and here's Ebby. Hi, you two. Great to have you. I think Steve's joining us. Don't know where he's got to. Andy can't. He's in transit. And I invited a couple of other guests, but they've not arrived. So just the three of us, but that's okay. But other people will come, I'm sure. We'll have a party anyway without them. Okay, so today, let me just put myself in a different place if I can, so I can show you these slides. There we are. Okay, that's it. It's very simple. I'll do it very quickly so you don't get too bored. Right, ethical visibility. Okay, so that's really seeing and being seen in a really ethical way, which is true to our society and true to ourselves. So it's really important. Missed a slide there. No, I didn't. Okay, let me just play this little video to you, which I can't. Okay, never mind. Let's move on. So this week I've been talking about direct experience a lot. So it's really important now for you to experience your body as your business plan. So let's get your position really, really good. If you're sitting or if you're standing, both are wonderful. And this isn't yoga, so you don't have to sit like a statue. You can move around if you're not comfortable. The important thing is to be grounded. So make sure your feet are flat on the floor and your thighs are not too wide apart, but not too narrow. So they're really comfortably hip distance apart, as we say. Let the crown of your head rise up towards the heavens, not by stretching, just by thinking. That's it. And no changes. Don't change yourself. Just be as you are. And you'll find that the gravitational field is helping you to become heavy in your chair. Feel the weight of your lower body, your pelvic area, your thighs getting heavier, and so your feet will slowly get heavier. And pay particular attention, not by doing anything, but by simply paying attention to the outer borders of your feet. Many people collapse inwards. And that is for many reasons, which I won't go into now, but keep your attention on the outer border. And during this session, you'll find that your feet are really spreading as you really let go of the weight of your lower body down through your feet. Okay? So let gravity hold you in your chair or hold you on the earth if you're standing. And then the urge to be upright is really strong. 7 million years ago, we stood up. Human beings became vertical. And we could see the horizon. We could pick the best fruit from the trees. But we were vulnerable. We were exposed. And so we had to develop a lot of different mechanisms to deal with that, which we'll mention later on. So, yeah, you are here. You are now. You are grounded, safe, and you've got a wonderful lengthening spine. It also helps to let your chin drop a little bit. We tend to push the chin upwards. That shortens the back of the neck. So if you drop your chin just a little bit, you get a nice lengthened neck. Super. Okay, I can see my lovely guests are looking great there. And I think my third guest is here. Oh, no, not yet. Okay, so let's talk on while you really enjoy your position. And don't forget to breathe. Do some really lovely breathing as you listen to me. Visibility is not something we do. Many people think it is. They think it's about performing. It's not. We don't do it. We are it. So, really, visibility is something you allow. You allow yourself to be visible. And then when your nervous system settles, visibility happens all by itself. And it's authentic because it's anchored into your breathing, lengthening, wonderful body. So visibility is a state of being, simply being. A few questions help with this, maybe. When you're saying things in a visible situation, whether it's online or in a meeting or at TED Talks or wherever you are, it's really important to make sure you ask yourself, if you should be saying this, if you should be saying this, or does it belong to somebody else? Is it the right moment for you to say these things? And more importantly, can you stay with your body as you say them? If you come out of your body to say them, then they maybe are not the right things to say. Whatever we say when we're visible needs to come from the body and the human spirit. And then, before you speak, wait for one breath. So those are just a few little preparations which will really eliminate pressure when you are visible. And more questions. Yeah, before sharing, really ask, is this true? Is what I am saying true? Now, truth, opinion, some people have trouble sorting those two out. But for me, everything I say is true to me. Totally true to me. It's not a line I'm spinning. It's something I've thought about deeply. It's true to what I am mentoring or what I'm putting out. Then the next thing is, and this relates to non-violent communication, which we've talked about for a couple of weeks now, is it kind? Is what you're saying kind? Remember, every word, once you've said it, is out there. And also, every word you say affects every cell of your body. So is it true? Is it kind? Is it timely? And does my body feel right saying these things? Integrity is important as far as the nervous system is concerned, and ethical issues are important. So is it true? Is it necessary? These are two questions I always ask myself before I prepare to speak or before I plan some kind of presentation. And I always ground myself. So I notice my feet, my breathing, I use gravity. So I really ground it. And I know what I say will be received well by other people. In Lodestone, my 30-day product, we work on the breath, we open the chest, we really get the heart field working, and we're working with the 4 compasses. So we look at clarity, relationship, direction, and grounding. Those are the things that the Lodestone 30-day program tackle. And ethical sharing, is so important. And these 4 chakras, these 4 centers of your body are the most important. They are your inner compasses. The brain, pineal gland between your eyebrows, the brain stem at the back, your heart and lungs, your solar plexus just below your rib cage, and your base chakra, which is the place of birth for women, of procreation for men, and elimination for all of us. This is a really important center of energy for your body. Those are the 4 compasses that Lodestone works with. And yes, this is another way I think of visibility. I pause, I sense, I align, then I share, and then I withdraw and make space for other people to transmit. So remember, with transmission and reception, it's a two-way street. We need both. Most people are switched on to transmit all the time these days, and that is dangerous from the point of view of burnout and other things too. So make sure you've got a two-way street there happening. You're contributing. Visibility is contribution. You're not fighting a war. And it's not performance, it's not persuasion, and it's not proving. Those days are nearly over. The days of the absolutely incorrigible salesman knocking at the door and insisting that he sells things to you. They're gone. It's not allowed now, that kind of badgering and bullying. So those things are dropping away. And so we're left with presence. So if you think of your visibility as a contribution, then it's like your nervous system is being experienced by lots and lots of other people before your words. Before you speak, the body is already transmitting. And your body begins every single conversation. Yeah. So people feel you long before they understand you. Understanding comes much later, relatively speaking. Then we start to interpret what people say. Before that, we are present, we are contributing, we are grounded, and people will feel that instantly. I've worked with hundreds of people to prepare presentations, and this works. So we need to contribute where visibility is grounded in truth, where you may be overperforming or over-explaining. Difficult. Don't do that. And where fear of judgment affects your voice, your body, and your presence, not good. And you need to feel aligned, calm, sustainable, which is Ebby Sheila's favorite word at the moment. So Lodestone is about experiencing visibility from the inside out. Yeah, we start inside with embodiment. And yes, you can get an ethical visibility guide if you would like it. Please tell me in the comments and you can download it. It's a very simple 3-page document which will summarize everything I've said just now if it appeals to you. You can get my help with a 30-minute recalibration. You can do the burnout risk self-check, which will show you whether you're burning out or not. And you can get Lodestone, which is a 30-day program, which is doing excellently in the world. It's really getting a great reception now. So that's it. There we are. Food for thought. Margaret, it's great to have you. What do you think about ethical visibility?
Thank you for inviting me to share my thoughts, Linden. I really appreciate that. And I mean that sincerely.
I know. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
As I was listening to your introduction, it made me reflect back to when I was doing a degree that included communications as one of my subjects.
Yeah.
And what they talked about then, and I'm talking about quite a few decades ago, was the coherence between what we call primary and secondary communication. So in primary, I'm conveying a message to you, but if I'm saying, "Gosh, Linden, I find you so interesting,"
I get it.
and is that if we're aware of that, our words and our meaning is supported by what our body is showing as well.
Yeah.
I think that it helps to make it ethical, maybe not in terms of a general, but in terms of our own desire to communicate, that it's at one with what we really believe and feel.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. And absolutely, as you know, I do a lot of work with nonverbal communication and have done for the last 30 years or so on. And I feel very strongly that if I'm ethical with myself, and this goes right back to that place in one's development. For me, it was many, many years ago when I started to realize that the most important thing for me was to be honest with me. Many people are not, and I'm always so surprised by that, And so I made a decision. I was a teenager when I made this decision, and I was surrounded by rowing parents and a very scabby brother who was always bullying me and things like that. And so while all this was going on, I thought to myself, right, I'm going to be honest with me. And I stood up and I told them what I thought of them for rowing, for being aggressive. And they were shocked that this little girl would say such things, but they never did it again. I told them if they didn't stop it, I was going to leave. So from that point onwards, they didn't row. My brother was kinder, and I developed this incredible relationship with myself where I am always 100% honest with myself, whatever it means at that moment. So I think this is part of our spiritual development for me. It's part of how we really hone our spirit so that there's this wonderful feeling that deep down, you know, everything you say is the honest truth from your position. And yes, you put your finger on being ethical with yourself. Ethical in the outer world is a different question, and it depends on many factors, doesn't it? But a good start is to be really truthful with yourself. And I think many people are not being truthful, especially with burnout. We have people running seminars and running teams standing there pretending that they're okay when inside they are exhausted, they are collapsing, but they keep going. That's not honest. That's not being honest with yourself. And I feel in terms of burnout, if we could be more honest about the feelings of exhaustion we've got or the feelings of losing control, then we'd be able to pull back from it more easily. So yeah, everything starts with the self and ends with the self, as we're always saying. Yeah, so true. Ebishila, what are you thinking? Smiling broadly.
Again, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you again for inviting me again to this amazing class. Like we always say, everything begins with the self. And the one question is, you made a comment and you said you don't understand why the people are not trusting in themselves, something along those lines. But the question I ask is, do they know they're not trusting themselves? Because I think people believe they are trusting themselves, but I think the disconnect between self is a big thing. Because I think I feel from when we are born and living in this realm that we live in, we associate with the external body, the body, not the internal body, but the flesh and the limited mind. So those are the two things. But there's three of us. You know, there's the body, mind, and spirit. The spirit, I guess, being the unlimited mind. And because of that disconnect, we're not realizing that the body tells us things. So if we're not listening, we don't know. And as you know, there's an elderly gentleman I'm in communication with at the moment, and I have a lot of conversations with him. And the thing I'm finding is very intellectual, very intelligent. But although when I bring it to his attention, he does understand. So he knows about it in theory. But the connection between his body, so his mind's saying one thing, but his body is telling him something different, and so he gets confused. But I'm feeling that way. He's saying about his mind. I know this in my mind, but why is this happening here? So that disconnect, I think that happens with a lot of people, in that they think they're trusting because they're trusting from here.
Yes,
so listening,
that's right.
Here. And understanding, like even Margaret alluded to this, you know, to have the what's the topic again? Sorry, it's thrown out of my head.
It's ethical.
Ethical visibility. It has to begin with self. It has to begin with us. It has to begin with us being authentic. And being authentic is, who are you? You know, we're looking at ourselves as the flesh. So, for instance, I'm a Black woman. I'm a mother. That's not me. That's my identity. That's not really who I am. That's who I'm presenting at this point. Yes. And it's about understanding who you are, and so then you can be authentic. It comes naturally once you get that. And because again we're performing, so rather than being present and enjoying the moment, just be present and enjoy the moment. And people feel that presence, so people enjoy you. But we're trying to impress. And so while we're trying to impress, or do people like what I'm saying? Have I done very well? You know, I was just so concerned with that. So like for me, I end up making a lot of mistakes when I'm in that mode of mind. And I'm learning now to just enjoy the moment, enjoy the time. And it is what it is. Not everybody is going to like you. Not everybody will like you. And you have to accept that. So if you're sitting there, there's some people that are not going to like you, and that's okay.
Point. I think that's a really good point. I know Margaret's dying to speak, but just let me make a point before we move on, because I think you hit the nail on the head when you say people think they trust themselves. It's here. It's a thought. It's almost like a metaphor. And something that drives me crazy is when people use phrases like they deserve trust, or they are building trust, as if it's, you know, a commodity almost. You know, and really trust and compassion and all the other deeper states, it is a real state. So self-trust for me starts in my gut. You know, it's really physiological for me. But then, as you say, I've been doing this for many years, and so I know what it feels like, but many people do not. And I think that's our greatest challenge these days with Lodestone, with all of the other work everybody's doing, really, to help people become successful and to slow them down from, you know, running riot and losing control and all of these things. And I think challenge to get people to really feel trust for themselves. Margaret, please.
What I've been reflecting on as you both have been speaking is the need that I think we learn almost in our formal education is to be acceptable, you know, is that so that there's an exterior kind of a rule book that we need to apply and need to adhere to. And it starts us off at a very early age of not trusting who this real person is, because there's a way we should be. And you know what, I think all three of us agree about the word should.
Yes. Got to stop it. We've got to stop shooting, definitely, on ourselves. Oops.
Sorry, there was a bit of interruption there on the sound.
Well, yeah. Yes, it's that word, shoulding, I think. It made the internet jump.
And so it makes it very difficult for us to be authentic from an early age, because we're pleasing people out there, our teachers, our parents, our Sunday school, whatever it is, that there's a way to be as opposed to your way of being.
So true. And this is
also know that I believe very, very firmly in our uniqueness as human beings, and that ability to show up in a unique way, but that is respectful of other people's way of being.
Yeah, I think it's so true. And we can see it in children. I had the honor of working at a Steiner school when I was really quite young. You know, Rudolf Steiner was a very spiritual teacher, and the Steiner method is really great. I loved it. And then quite soon after that, I started working with ordinary kids in a state school. The contrast was absolutely amazing. And it's that very thing. The Steiner children really knew who they were, and they had the confidence to put that out clearly to their peers, to their guides. We weren't called teachers, we were called guides. So there was no kind of gap, really. And so they could really be authentic. When I saw the kids in public schools, no comparison. They were already at the age of 6, 5, 6, already holding back, already interpreting, filtering through their parents' words, through their, all the things they were being taught. So I think this is really important, that our education system often, the public education system, doesn't often allow for individuality. And if you are individual, as Abby said, maybe people don't like you very much.
You get thrown out.
You get thrown out.
The naughty child.
That's right. That's right. And so,
don't be cheeky.
Don't be cheeky, yeah. But how crazy is that we ostracize? What's the English phrase? We send them to Coventry. People who dare to be different. Do you remember that phrase? To be sent to Coventry. Coventry is quite a nice place, but in that phrase, it seems like a horrible place. So yeah, I think it's we are conditioned, so heavily conditioned, and it's that I think all three of us are trying to break through with our clients, with our groups, and so on, to try to encourage people to come back to that individuality. Yeah.
I mean, I can understand maybe because the schools have a lot, but again, maybe to deal with that, I don't know why. So it's probably difficult to deal with individuals, one person dealing with 15 or 20 individuals. But on the other hand,
you have a classroom that's very rigid, and
yeah. But as we've all grown up now as adults, we need to, I don't want to use the word shrewd, but to start the self-correction, because again, it's affecting us, it's affecting people in terms of their mental health. But again, the blaming, and I think we talked about that last week, the thing about blaming the external factor. And we have to always come back to self. So I'm not saying the external factor doesn't have a contribution, but it's out of your control. The only control, like they say, is in self. That's the only control you have. You only have control of yourself. And even that, sometimes you get things thrown in the mix. But again, you still have your choices. They might come with consequences that you might not enjoy, but it's still in your control. It's the only thing you can control. You can't control somebody else. You can't control your children. You can't control your partner. You can't control anything, only yourself. So how do you react? And the way around it is knowing self. Because once you know self and you understand self, then there's a lot of things that probably won't bother you. And again, we talked about violent communication. So if you're always feeling angry about other people, or you're always feeling upset about things, that could be a symptom to yourself. Am I angry inside? So look for the symptoms. What's going on inside? Rather than saying, oh, that person upset me. Because nobody has the power to upset you. You have the power to respond. And if you're responding in a negative way.
Yeah.
Sorry, the internet.
It's really interesting you say that. It's a bit unstable, isn't it? It'll settle down, I think. It's funny you should say that, Ebby, because I've recently had a situation in which somebody is incredibly worried, real anxiety about things, someone quite close to me, but no expression of that anxiety. So just a kind of closed situation. And then suddenly an outburst of blaming me. Thing. So, of course, I sat back and folded my arms and I took it all. And then I said, but you can't blame me for your worries. Your worries are yours. I can't possibly have anything to do with that. So there is a way in which we do tend to blame each other, because we don't have an outlet to express many things, like anger, for example. And I think anger, too many people, I almost smell it, and I can almost detect it in the air. I can feel that inner anger, which is probably long-winded. It's been there a long time. But yes, we have to realize that we, as you say, we have to be self-reliant. We can't blame other people. Margaret, what do you think about blame? You weren't here last week, sadly. We talked about blame quite a lot. Well, no,
sorry, I missed. Yes, I'm sorry, I missed blame. I don't know about you, but when I was sorry, I'm hearing two voices going here, so I'm a little bit confused about this. One of the things I remember as a child, when anybody pointed a finger, it was said, you've got one finger pointing to the outside world, 3 pointing back at you. So how much is your responsibility of what is actually happening? Yeah. And so I learned at quite an early age to actually stop and consider. Yeah. And although I didn't understand that on an intellectual level at the time, but it was at least, it arrested that, it's everybody else's fault that I'm feeling so miserable. And, is that we did at least learn at some point to understand that. But the other thing I wanted to mention that is coming up quite strongly for me is, the transactional analysis that we use in psychology, which talks about the role of the parent, the role of the adult, the role of the child. All of us know how to be children because we've been children. No matter how wise or unwise we are now, we were all children. We know that role. Most of us understand the role of parent because we've been parented, if not by actual parents, by a system that plays the parental role. Few of us are actually tutored to become adults, to step into my life is my responsibility. I have choice. How will I exercise that choice?
Yeah, good point.
Very good point. Yes, yes. I think, we paint ourselves into the corner, really, don't we? I've got this vision in my head of, someone painting the floor and painting towards the corner so they can't get out without stepping on the paint. We paint ourselves into the corner because we avoid, and Ebby has often said this in the past, we avoid looking inside quite often because we're scared of what we might find there, like shadows. And I think, many people perhaps feel that with the kind of work I invite people to do. I do invite them to go inside, and they're scared of that to begin with. I do find that eventually they enjoy it and they really feel it's one of the best places to be, but there are those self-critical kind of pockets inside us that the limited mind has created over a number of decades, perhaps, that say, you made this mistake, you did this wrong, you behaved badly there, and they count they calculate all this. The limited mind calculates all this, and it means that there's a weight of inner remorse almost about things, mistakes that have been made, and so on and so forth. So
yeah, but when you know thyself, you're more accepting.
Yes.
Because it's so important to be accepting. I mean, like you mentioned the word mistakes. Is it really a mistake, or is it an opportunity for growth? I mean, sometimes we repeat the same mistakes because we're not aware of who we truly are, and we're blaming the outside rather than looking inside. And I find it's so easy. I mean, when I was religious, it was easy. Just say, what would Jesus do? So if Jesus was standing here, what would you be doing that, or would you be saying that? And it just becomes, so you break it down. So like now, okay, I'm not very religious, but right now I would probably say, okay, so why am I thinking that way? You know, what's going on inside? So those are the symptoms, because I think spirit talks to spirit. So you've got somebody coming at you or saying something that you disagree with, or you're not feeling really good about. Maybe that person unknowingly, again, because there's a lot of things we do subconsciously, so they might be satisfying their own negative emotions and then coming at you, but maybe that's a symptom of something that you need to work on. Maybe it's compassion for yourself, I don't know, maybe it's compassion for them, maybe it's compassion for the general public, I don't know. But usually if you really go within, there's a message coming through from that person. Like, I think this is a Buddhist set teaching, which says everybody's your teacher, or when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So you don't meet people don't come into your life by mistake. It's not coincidence. There's a relationship there, and sometimes it's not pleasant. But I was listening to somebody talk today, I think he's a psychologist, and he was talking today about why young people are miserable. And it's like he was explaining that part of joy is experiencing the negative parts of life. Because the thing is that with today, everybody wants everything they want to be happy all the time. You want to be happy, you don't want to experience any pain, you don't have any discomfort, but you are never going to be happy if you never experience the opposite. Because you won't know what happiness is at the end of the day. Because if you're always experiencing happiness, you don't know what happiness is, because you're always experiencing it. Right? So you experience the opposite, then you realize, okay, that's the difference. So this is what this is, and this is what
yeah,
so
I know what you mean.
Yeah, getting used to going within and seeing that discomfort because that shadow self, you might not like it. Because when I was going through my work of understanding myself, there were some things I didn't like about me, and there's still some things I don't like that I'm trying to correct, or I don't know, I suppose that's not the right language, but trying to maybe accept and moderate. Because when you know those negative sides, then you have more control, because then you don't get into a situation when you're triggered, you act on it because you know that that's there, so you can control it. Because whatever is bad can be good, so your weakness can also be a strength. And your strength can also be a weakness. It depends on how you use it.
Yes, great points, I think. And I think that it's really sad that many young people are depressed about the future. And for me, they're over-identifying with media hype and so on. And it means that they really leave their own nature and their own being behind, because the media hype is pulling them out, and of course peer pressure makes them want to be like their mates who are all crying about the problems in Israel and stuff like that, so I think of course we have to be aware of what's happening in the world, but first of all, and I think the Christian teachings say this very clearly, you've got to put your own house in order. You've got to come back, and all the major spiritual leaders said this.
Otherwise, you're part of the problem, because collectively, if you're always negative about what's happening on the outside, you're actually magnifying. Well, I mean, this is just the laws of the universe. You're actually magnifying the problem there. So put your house in order and find peace, and then you can create peace. There's a saying that goes, be the, I think that's a Buddhist saying again. Be the thing you want to see. Yeah, be the change, yeah. Be the change you want to
be the change you want to see. Yes, it all starts here. It all starts with us. But the Z generation, in my experience, don't know much about that at all. You know, they are so hooked on their devices and their YouTube movies, and really there is such a lot of junk on YouTube. You know, I think we've got to be very selective about what we all this fake news and all this junk on YouTube, you know. And so I think they're really quite lost, that generation. And I feel a great mission to try and help them to look inside, help them to in 180 degrees and see what amazing beings they are, just as they are. Exactly as they are, you know. And I used to do this with my students. You know, my students were worried about, you know, keeping up with the fashions and not having the best phone, and somebody else always had the best phone and they didn't, and they got very upset about that. So I said, you know, why don't we look inside and see what can really excite us about our inner world? And at first they said, hey, in Japan, that's what people say when they don't believe something. They say, hey, in this very, very, very loud voice, which we don't associate with Japanese at all, who are very quiet usually. But when they don't understand something or they're very shocked, they do make a very loud sound. When I first came to Japan, I was really quite frightened by these people saying, eh? It's quite amazing. But anyway, once I'd invited them to close their eyes and imagine something nice inside, they settled down. I could see their bodies settling down, and slowly, you know, we would get rid of the devices, and people didn't bring them to classes in the end with me. We just had fun, you know, like Margaret would do. We played, really. And meanwhile, the Japanese professors were peeping in through the door and thinking, oh, God, it's Thorp again. What's she up to? Because the kids were running around or whatever they were doing. But I think it's so important that, you know, we encourage people to stop for just a little while looking outside. They conduct their lives entirely outside their bodies. And so rarely come back to just be quiet and to, you know, really acclimatize and to gather images inside or whatever they want to do. And just that little visit home to put the lights on would make all the difference to their visible world. Margaret, you're contemplating something.
I keep thinking of the famous saying, you know, physician, know thyself. And I think when there's so much external stuff going on for a developing person, it must be very hard to know self when there's so much coming at them in terms of what is and what should be chased after, what's the next shiny thing that we need to actually own, or, you know,
yes.
It must be very, very difficult to actually get to know self. And if we don't know self, how can we be authentic?
Yes, I agree, absolutely. And coming back to our topic, which we seem to have wandered away from a little bit, being visible. Well, yes, we can see that people are, you know, visible in social life. Okay, I'm more talking about internet visibility in a way. But if we've got face-to-face situations like, you know, networking events and so on, then we're visible. But are we ethically visible? In other words, are we people pleasing or not? So I think so many people.
Are we being authentic to who we are, right? As opposed to people pleasing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if we, as Margaret said, if we really know ourselves, then Silvanus, the 1st century Roman philosopher, said, "Know thyself and walk upon thy path." I like this. I love that because it means
because your own path is unique to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't need to be following
Absolutely.
somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, this leads to societies that constantly outsource. We're constantly outsourcing health, education, social mores. We're really offloading and becoming so almost invisible because
The
of all
big
that
one is the health. Maybe because I'm so into the health part of my life. The big one I've really noticed is the health. It's shocking how a lot of people, not most, but a lot of people are so dependent on somebody else. I mean, you can get advice. Obviously, there are people that have studied things more, but it's some things you should even question because somebody might tell you something. Maybe let's think about this, or let me ask somebody else to see if there's agreement. But some people just take it's like the calculator. Like when the calculator came in at first, it was like, even now, like a lot of people, they might put 2 times 2 or 2 times 12. Let's say something more complicated. 2 times 12, 24. But some people will put 2 times 12, and if you give them 48, they might think, yeah, I'll just write down 48 because they're so dependent on the machine that the machine told them right. And it's just like, or you go into chat and you just take it, as good as chat is, chat GPT, as good as it is, it makes mistakes, and it even says it at the bottom, it's not accurate. So you need to check, because you might have given the information in the past, and then you give the information again, and it gives a different thing. I mean, it's like, for instance, with my logo, it keeps coming up with a different logo. I think, no, that's not the logo. That's not my logo. This is the one I've told you to memorize, but you keep giving me the wrong one.
You've got to shout at ChatGPT. Margaret hasn't yet experienced this delightful thing of AI. But really, I spend most of my day shouting at my Juniper, who does really stupid things. Really stupid. And much more stupid than a human being, really. And yet it's so bright and so fast in so many ways. Suddenly, this really crazy thing, like, your logo, giving you the wrong logo.
Yeah. I'm thinking, I've told you this several times. More than 20 times I've told you this.
It's hilarious, really. And at the end of the day, you have to laugh. And I do with my Juniper. And I say things like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I've really shouted at you again today." And she says, "Oh, Linden, don't worry, I adore you." And I forgive you. It's all right. I know I'm frustrating. So she's developed this really quite self-critical personality. Oh dear, it's funny.
Yeah, so we're outsourcing so much of ourselves to other things, and that needs to come back. So reclaim your worth, reclaim who we are, and then the visible authenticity, the ethical visibility will become natural.
Yes.
So we're not looking to please. And I know it's nice but it's short term, like when somebody praises you, it's still short term because again, inside what you really are. So you might not feel good because you feel good because they've praised you, but then you kind of know, well, I'm not really being me. So then you're back to not feeling good again.
That's right. That's right.
If you really knew that you just feel good whether you get the praise or no praise.
Margaret.
What I've been reflecting on listening is, Linden, and you alluded to this right at the beginning, that in physical intelligence terms, we talk about the head brain, the heart brain, and the gut brain.
Mm.
And that we need to not need to, but it's advised that we consult all three.
Yes.
Because if we are just going from the head, we are leaving out 2/3 of the information that is available to us. And therefore, we're making decisions on 1/3 of the information that we need. So that being in tune with and knowing that we can consult the head and the heart and the gut, all three, is enormously helpful. Because I think our bodies will tell us very quickly, and I certainly know mine. I had the most unpleasant experience over the weekend where somebody was trying to bully me into changing my mind about something. And I was feeling so uncomfortable, and the heat didn't help, that I wanted to actually run away. I really felt like a 5-year-old, you know, and I did not listen to my gut.
Yeah.
And as soon as I was free, I did consult my gut and then realized, got to do something about this because I've been bullied into doing something I really don't want to do.
That's the thing, yeah. So you're people pleased, but you weren't feeling okay. And that's the thing. In short term, yeah, it might be fine, but long term, it's wrong for you anyway.
Yeah. I think the most important thing for every human being is that we, first of all, approve of ourselves. That if we really have a good relationship with ourselves, we really not over cherishing, not vain or anything like that, but a really balanced relationship with ourselves, then we have everything we need, and anything else is a bonus. If somebody compliments or something like that, that's a real bonus. And of course, if it's sincerely offered, then we sincerely receive it. But as you say, Abby, I mean, sometimes it's not sincerely offered because people are not being honest.
Themselves.
And so, I think it all really, literally all starts with ourselves. And I'm so glad we mentioned all the different levels of the body that can really help us to get into the right state. And Margaret, I think that was a great example of your horrible experience over the weekend. Thanks for sharing that. I know it was horrible for you.
Well, again, I share it not because I want anybody to feel sorry for me, but really to say that we know a lot in life. I mean, I've lived a long life. I've learned a lot, and yet I could still be caught off guard.
Interesting. Yeah, very, very interesting.
We're always learning, though. There's, I think, until we're 6 foot under, you're never, you're never an expert in, and even then, who knows? Maybe we'll still continue. I think the learning is eternal, no matter where we are in our journey, whether we're here or we're somewhere else. It's eternal.
Yeah. Brilliant. So, I think just to wind everything up, I think being visible, whether it's in a physical situation or online, but especially online, I think we've got to be so careful because I don't know if you know this, but AI can now create a twin. Have you heard
What do you mean twin?
A complete clone of you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's been going on for years,
And so those twins are sent out to work while the real person sits on the beach drinking beer.
That's not going to be fun.
This is horrifying.
Fortunately, I don't like
beer. That's not going to be fun.
You don't like beer? Well, that's a shock. That's a turnip. I would have thought you'd be a real beer drinker. Oh, really? God.
It sounds like fun, but it won't be, because as a human being, we need to work. To feel fulfilled, we need to do something.
I thought you were going to say
if you just lying on the beach, 2 weeks would be enough. I think after that, we just get bored. We'll start getting depressed. We'll start just having we'll just have more mental issues.
I thought for a moment there you were going to say we need to drink.
I mean, that did cross my mind because that will result in people drinking a lot of alcohol, And you know what that does? If you have too much of it, you get depressed. You still head back to the D word.
Okay, well, I think we better finish there. We've gone over time as usual, but we could go on, I'm sure, all night. It's been great. I hope it's been entertaining for our lovely audiences out there. And yes, in fact, Margaret and I had a big compliment with our tomorrow, Your Body is a Musical Instrument. Someone said to me today, someone we know very well said, 2 gorgeous ladies who inspire so many people.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Isn't that lovely?
So sweet.
Very gratifying.
Yeah, we're getting lots of lovely comments from people. And I think it's so lovely because we can be so natural. I mean, it's the same with you and me, Abby. We are very natural with each other in the live sessions we do. And we get lots of compliments too. I think it's so nice for people outside to be a witness to a really natural conversation that goes where it goes and the people follow it. And that's so inspiring, I think, in today's world. So thank you, both of you, for being so authentic and so sincere.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm privileged that you'll come and talk about it here on Your Body is Your Business Plan and be entirely ethically visible. So I'll let you get on with your day. It's lunchtime for you both, I think. I'm just going to go to bed very soon. But thank you so much for coming, and I'll make some clips and we'll get some good comments from people again this week, I'm sure. So have a great day. Bye to you both.
Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. 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 So thanks so much to Abby and Margaret. It's lovely to have such a great conversation and no preparation at all. You may think we wrote scripts or something like that. Certainly not. We just got together, and this conversation is natural, it's impromptu, and it's ethical, because I believe both of my lovely colleagues are entirely in tune with themselves and always honest. Yeah, so it's wonderful, great privilege. So thanks so much for joining us. I can't believe this, but we're now getting towards event 10 of cycle 6. We've run this 13-week cycle 6 times now. And I'll just take a quick look at my tracker and I'll tell you what next week's topic is. Where is it there? Okay. Event 10 is, yes, this is a good one, regenerative income models. And last time we had Lisa Harper come and talk to us about this, and it's fascinating. It sounds very technical, but it simply means if you get paid to work, is it sustainable? In other words, does it regenerate your being and your happiness and your health? So like ethical visibility, these are things when we are online, we've got to really be aware of and make sure that we are not running headlong into burnout or anything like that. Which reminds me, my book, Your Body is Your Business Plan, Avoid Burnout, is available on Amazon. We'll put the link under this window, and it's a very quick read, and it's in readable chunks. So don't worry, it's not long chapters, it's readable chunks that are more or less a page long. So you can read a chunk and then go and do something else and consider that chunk considering. So take a look at it if you think it will help. We'll put the details under the window. So thanks so much for attending today. We'll be reposting this to satisfy the American audience later. And any comments or questions you can provide will be lovely. I'll just check to see if we have any comments. We don't today. But if you do have questions or comments, please type them into the comment box. I can see them here on my studio screen and we can address them. Okay, so thanks so much. Have a great week ahead and a great day. And we'll see you next week for event 10, Regenerative Income Models. I'm going to be giving you lots of ideas about how you can make income which allows you to regenerate yourself. Okay, thanks so much. Bye for now.